What's going on, everybody? C4 here. Welcome back to the channel. Little bit of a double header here today with two mock drafts videos gonna be hitting your sub boxes as I straight up everything on the news, everything on Twitter is like 2 weeks away from the NFL draft. I was like, wait, that's like the 23rd, 24th. I thought the draft was like the 28th, 29th. So obviously we're gonna have to cover up a little bit of ground to get through all 32 teams. I thought for once, for the first time in like the 5 years I've been doing this, I was actually gonna be on time and wouldn't have to rush uploads. But over the next week or so, there's probably going to be 2-3 days that you're going to get double mock drafts just so that we can be done well in advance before the beginning of the 2020 Zoom NFL draft. So without further ado, though, we're doing the Denver Broncos and the Atlanta Falcons today, but in this video we are here for the Denver Broncos. And now before we get into the 7-round mock draft, we need to take a look through the power of Madden 20, what they have done in free agency, who they've acquired, what holes they have, to see how we can best assess and address their needs as we enter the 2020 NFL draft. So looking at the Broncos, a thing that I'm going to talk about in the mock draft, because for a lot of these videos I record the mock draft first and then I do the Madden part. I think right now, if you follow me on Twitter, which you should follow me on Twitter, at PapaXC4, it's fire Twitter, in the last 3 years, I have made predictions for teams that have failed to make the playoffs, that they're going to make the playoffs next year. It worked 3 years ago with the Jacksonville Jaguars, worked 2 years ago with the Chicago Bears, and worked last year with the Buffalo Bills. I have to find that team this year, and I'm going to tell you right now, Denver's in that shortlist. Denver, I'm not ready to make the official prediction. I got to get close to it now. I like to see after the draft. I like to see what move, because what put me over the top for the Buffalo Bills was I loved their draft last year. So if Denver has a good draft, they could very well be my sleeper team that are going to make the playoffs next season. And looking at that team, they got Drew Lock under center, a man who they hope is their new franchise quarterback. They got Philip Lindsay. They acquired Melvin Gordon, so they are going to have one of the best 1-2 punches, if not the best 1-2 punch in the National Football League. Out wide, you got Coughlin Sutton, who I think is a terrific pick, was a great value pick at SMU when they got him. Probably need to get another wide receiver to come in and complement him, which don't worry, we got that going in the draft. You got Noah Fant, explosive tight end, who's, I mean, obviously there's phrasing there, an explosive tight end, huh? That's why everyone's hoarded the toilet paper. But Noah Fant, obviously very, very high upside, glorified wide receiver playing tight end, but he should become more and more of a dynamic playmaker and a great weapon for Drew Lock. You look at the offensive line, Jawan James, solid right tackle. I love the Dalton Risner pick. I think he's a great mentality type guy, tough, badass, old school type guard. You got Graham Glasgow, who they paid pretty decent money to come over from the Detroit Lions. Now, he can play guard or center, but just for now, I have him at center because Wilkinson's, an average starting guard. Garrett Bowles has kind of been a bust. Maybe we'll talk about that when we get to the mock draft, but I think they got some solid pieces here on the offensive line, and are a piece or two away from having a very solid general offensive line. Flipping to the defense, Vic Fangio needs to get better production out of this defense. They got Jarrell Casey for pennies on a dollar. Mike Purcell, pretty good against the run. Shelby Harris, pretty underrated defensive end. It's not a bad front three, and obviously Jarrell Casey helps the name value a lot. The linebacking core with Von Miller and Bradley Chubb, two of the best 3-4 outside linebackers in the National Football League. If not, if you're looking at 3-4 OLBs, they probably have the best unit. Inside, you got Josie Jewell, Austin Johnson, Todd Davis. Probably could use maybe another guy there, but still, those guys are solid. Justin Simmons emerged as one of the best cover safeties in the NFL last year. Kareem Jackson is really, really good, coming over from the Houston Texans last offseason. Maybe didn't live up to the expectations that he came from the year that he had with Houston as a breakout year, but still a really solid player that Vic Fangio will be able to get the most out of. You got Callahan in the slot. They got A.J. Boye, much like Jarrell Casey, for really pennies on a dollar. It's a solid secondary. This defense is really solid. They don't really need any one piece, I think, to take them over the hump, but maybe adding some depth along the defensive line, maybe having another guy here in the corner spot, maybe looking at a linebacker could help, but ultimately this is a team I think needs to use their premium picks fixing the offense. So without further ado, let's get into the Denver Broncos 2020 7-round mock draft. The Denver Broncos are on the clock here in the draft at pick 15, where they're running this selection right up to the draft podium, or whatever the hell they're doing it online, Zoom. At pick 15, I'm selecting Henry Ruggs III, wide receiver from Alabama, 5'11", 190 pounds. Elite athlete in every sense of the word with that 4.27. A lot of people thought he might have had a chance to break John Ross's 40-yard dash line. When we watched the simulcast, I think he's as fast as John Ross. John Ross just cheated the system a little bit better. When you watch the head-to-head, John Ross does like the typical sprinter where you lean forward, and Ruggs ran upright, and I feel like that could have been the difference. That shaves off hundredth of a second every single time. But Henry Ruggs is fast, and with jump ball ability as well. You look at the tape, it's there. His 42-inch vertical kind of confirms he has ridiculous hops, and he does not drop the football, has an insane drop rate. So I think his ceiling in 3 to 4 years, he could be the best wide receiver from this draft class. When you're looking at, obviously, the guys ahead of him, in Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb, the guys that are kind of around him a little bit, in Denzel Mims and Justin Jefferson, I think Henry Ruggs has that kind of profile that, he could be in that Tyreek Hill category of he's pretty much uncoverable. He's going to beat you at least once or twice a game and make you look foolish. His speed already complements what they have in Denver and proven wide receiver Courtland Sutton, who's a big outside jump ball possession guy. And it also complements Drew Lock's cannon arm. So this is an easy pick for Denver if Ruggs is still on the board. And home run is exactly what they need on the offense. Going to the second round, pick 46, I was selecting Austin Jackson, offensive tackle from South Carolina, USC. 6'4", 325 pounds, a high ceiling tackle. He's only 20 years old. I feel like the Denver Broncos are about ready to give up on Garrett Bowles. No way they're going to be picking up fifth-year option, whatever that's coming up pretty soon. I think right now when you look at Austin Jackson, he could be a swing tackle as a rookie. He's already strong in pass protection. And I kind of think if they make this selection, it's only a matter of time before he gets that left tackle spot. Garrett Bowles, inconsistent to say the least. Good games, bad games. I think he graded out not horribly. I think he was like a 70 or something like that for Pro Football Focus. But when you watch the tape, it seems like Denver Bronco fans, anyways, are not really happy with him. And getting a guy like Austin Jackson, who's not going to be ready to play right now, so you can have Garrett Bowles still kind of hold down that left-hand side. But no, life's going to get better as you might get a franchise tackle in Austin Jackson. And the best thing to pair with what you think is your franchise quarterback in Drew Lock is a franchise tackle. Going to the third round at pick 77, I was selecting Cameron Dantzler, cornerback from Mississippi State, 6'2", 190 pounds. Kind of came in as one of those guys that on tape maybe could sneak into the first round. I always had a, mid to late second round grade on him. But then he kind of hurt his stock really bad with the bad 40-yard dash time. 4.64, that's pretty much, unless he's Josh Norman or like Richard Sherman, who are the very rare instances of a corner running this time that they're going to be really good. I think he kind of has that going against him. But he's a long corner who could play that Prince Amukamara role in a Vic Fangio defense. Press man cover corner guy who's always making plays around the ball. Very aggressive. Converted quarterback. See some of those instincts. Smart player. Can make up a lot of the deficiencies with the straight line speed. I think he's a solid player, and I think he has definitely a good shot to tack on this Denver Broncos team, especially when you're looking on the back end. They traded for A.J. Boye. You got Bryce Callahan in the slot. But outside of that, it's kind of a crapshoot. They had Yidam, the third-round pick out of Boston College, Duke Dawson, more slot depth. They need outside guys that can fill on the outside in case they get hurt with injuries, and they had a lot of injuries last year for Denver. So I think a guy like Dantzler, he's pretty much pro-ready. If you can just mask the speed deficiencies, he's going to be a nice, solid player for a Vic Fangio defense. Stayed in the third round at pick 83, I was selecting Larrell Murchison, defensive end from North Carolina State, 6'2", 295 pounds. Absolutely killed the combine drills. I had a note of that in my scouting report here. He's a power rusher with production over the last 2 years that he was at NC State. 20 TFLs, 11 sacks for a defensive lineman that, he's definitely a 3-4. And when you look at the 3-4 defense here for Denver, you got Shelby Harris, who's 29? Jarrell Casey, obviously a very short-term option. They just got value because they're trying to be a little bit of a win-now mode. And I actually think Denver got to be one of my sleeper teams next year. Denver Broncos could actually very well be my dark horse team. That I don't know, I'm leaning on. They're in that pool of teams. The last 3 years, my dark horse teams that have failed to make the year before playoffs, I've predicted them, and they've made the playoffs. Denver is right in there. We had Jacksonville, we had Chicago. Last year we had Buffalo. Could be Denver this year. But that defensive line needs to get a little bit younger. DeMarcus Walker, second-round pick in 2017 out of Florida State. Kind of struggled to catch on. They got Draymond Jones, third round out of Ohio State last year. But the starters are old, and until you find your long-term replacements, you keep every single year adding a piece or two. And I think Larrell Murchison is a great fit. He finds a way to make plays in the opposing team's backfield. Relentless motor. I think he's a really nice piece to add to that defense. And then finishing up in the third round at pick 95, I was selecting Jonah Jackson, guard from Ohio State, 6'3", 305. 2019 first-team Big Ten, a versatile lineman who's played everywhere on the interior, left guard, right guard, and center. I think he played center back with Rutgers. But I think he competes as a rookie for the right guard spot. Right now, you got Elijah Wilkinson in that spot. You got, Dalton Risner's probably going to lock down the left guard spot, second-round pick out of K-State. But I think for that right-hand side, it's open competition. I think Jonah Jackson, he is a high floor, low ceiling type player. I don't know if he's ever going to be a Pro Bowler, but there's no way he's ever going to be bad. I think he's a very solid starter, and adding stability and consistency to that Denver Broncos offensive line should be paramount. I think you got Juwan James, if he can stay healthy. You got Dalton Risner, who can stay healthy. You got Graham Glasgow, they brought over from Detroit, paid decent money. If he can stay healthy, you know, adding more stability is always key. The teams that have stability on the offensive line tend to do better than other teams, even if the talent's not the same, because that O-line, the healthier O-line, is paramount in the NFL. I think Jonah Jackson brings just solid consistency to the inside. It's a nice little value pick here in the 3rd round. And he obviously offer something in the run game. Very strong run blocker. So it on tape, pancaking dudes for Ohio State last year, especially when the little quarterback they got there in Justin Fields would get out of the pocket. Going to the 4th round, at pick 118, I have Denver selecting Carter Coughlin, edge rusher from Minnesota, 6'3", 235 pounds, good explosive athlete, running a 4.57 at the 40, proven production, 40 TFLs, 22.5 sacks in his career, and I think he would fit in maybe as edge 3 on the Denver Broncos. Could be edge 4, edge 3. I think he'd come in complete with Malik Reed out of Nevada, behind Von Miller and Bradley Chubb as a rookie. He brings great explosiveness for a rotational defensive end as a rookie. I like his upside more than most. I have him higher. I'm looking at kind of around the scouting world and seeing where Carter Coughlin, I consistently have him a round or two higher than other players. I think that he is going to be a very, very tough player to contain, a very, very tough player to hold down, and kind of similar to like Josie Jewell, where Josie Jewell was a very nice player, but then he kind of got pigeonholed as like, hey, you know, the athletic limitations, and you know, maybe he's not going to fit and transition well to the NFL. I kind of think there's a little bit of that going on with Carter Coughlin. When you look at it, though, like, he tested very well. His athletic profile does not meet the reputation he kind of has right now in the scouting community. I think Carter Coughlin is going to be a really, really nice pick here for the Denver Broncos. Going to the 5th round at 178, another player I really like. I was looking Antoine Brooks Jr., safety from Maryland, 5'10", 220 pounds. Found out about this guy last year when I was looking at my stud, Darnell Savage. If you watched my draft content last year, you know where I was at with Darnell Savage, and you know that we were hyped when he got in the 1st round. But Antoine Brooks stand out as well. He's a big hitter, pretty much looks like a linebacker playing the safety. He's a box safety, disappointing combine for sure, 4.64, not nearly the same kind of athlete that Darnell Savage was. But for a box safety who sets the tone, I think can replace Will Parks in that Denver Broncos defense as the tone setter, if you will. Will Parks was a guy, not always a starter. You know, he's sitting behind Justice Simmons and Kareem Jackson, but he would make plays on special teams. He would set the tone. Kind of a big hitter from time to time. I think that's exactly the role Antoine Brooks can provide, and clearly you're going to get some special teams ability. But if you want to just see some guy that loves to hit and loves to smash guys, go look at Antoine Brooks highlights on YouTube. It's a fun time. Moving on to the 6th round. Pick 181. I am selecting Trevis Gipson, defensive end from Tulsa, 6'3", 260 pounds. Had a pretty nice 2019, 15 TFLs, 8 sacks. Again, kind of like Carter Coughlin, more so going to be viewed as a rotational edge rusher who offers nice explosiveness on his initial move from the couple chop-ups that I have seen. Again, just continue to add some depth there. You got Bradley Chubb, Von Miller, Malik Reed. Outside of that, you know, Justin Hollins had a pretty good athletic profile coming out of Oregon last year, was a 5th round pick. And then the back end of that roster, you got a Toshu veteran, kind of bounced around, Malik Karen. I think you can finish out your edge rush depth by bringing in Carter Coughlin and finishing up here in the 6th round with Gipson, just getting that profile of explosiveness, rotational ability. Finishing up the draft in the 7th round, they have 2 7th round picks. First up at 252, I'm selecting Kevin Davidson, quarterback from Princeton. Fits the mold that John Elway likes for a quarterback, 6'4", 225, pocket passer, meets the test. The completion percentage, 2019 for Princeton, almost 67%. 20 touchdowns to 6 picks, and because there's still a little bit of fluidity, whether or not Drew Lock is 100% the guy, I feel like you just should always keep drafting, no matter what they are. Day 3, UDFA, always keep adding a quarterback into the QB room for preseason snaps, for camp snaps, until you get that guy, and the fact that Davidson ticks off a lot of boxes that what John Elway looks for in a quarterback. You know what you kind of got in Jeff Driscoll, not going to be a guy. You know what you kind of got in Brett Rippon, not going to be the guy. But you get a guy like Davidson, there could be something there, but ultimately, if Drew Lock, established himself to be the man, you could have a nice backup option in Davidson. And then finishing up the draft in the 7th round at 254, I was selecting Evan Weaver, linebacker from Cal, 6'2", 240. He's a very strong run defender with IQ, not to be a complete liability in coverage, but he does fall into that pigeonhole of the productive white college linebacker. That's not a great athlete. That's not going to be a 3-down backer in the NFL, but I mean, you're going to get some good special teams abilities, a solid tackler, have him come in on rundowns. If he does crack the final 53, he kind of fits the similar athletic profile as Josie Jewell, and they drafted him out of Iowa, and he gets a lot of snaps there. So this could be a really nice value pick with their final selection in the draft, getting Evan Weaver at 254. So there you go, guys. That is going to be my Denver Broncos 7-round mock draft. As always, let me know in the comment section below how you feel about it. If you like it or dislike it, let me know. As always, your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button, smash the like button if you enjoyed. And until next time, it's C4 saying peace out.